Good day everyone, it's an honor for us to deliver our presentation to you. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Novie Bosito and here is Nikki Mae Dacapias, and we are the reporters for today. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is manifestation of gender disparities or gaps. I'll start off by defining gender disparity or gender gap, to be followed by the manifestations of gender disparities or gaps according to education, employment, work, family, marriage, and church. So, when we say manifestation, it is an event, action, or object that clearly shows or embodies something. Sa Tagalog, ang manifestation ay pagpapakita. So, sa topic or lesson na ito, maipapakita ang pagkakaiba ng mga babae at lalaki sa iba't ibang situations. Let us define gender disparities or gender gap. The difference between women and men as reflected in social, political, intellectual, cultural, or economic attainments or attitudes. In terms of social, may tinatawag tayong social differences, which are generally based on the accidents of birth. For example, people having different heights. Usually, mas malaki ang lalaki kaysa babae. In terms of political naman, mapapansin natin na karamihan ng mga namumuno sa isang bansa ay lalaki. Konti lang ang nakakapasok na babae kasi nga mas magaling ang mga lalaki pagdating sa decision making. So, pagdating sa intellectual, mas magaling sa analytic ang lalaki compared to girls. In cultural norms, dapat ang lalaki ang nagtatrabaho at ang mga babae naman ay nasa bahay lamang. Another definition of gender gap is difference in opinions or attitudes between men and women concerning a variety of public and private issues, including political candidates, parties, or programs. So, we all know naman na lahat tayo ay magkakaiba ng pananaw at attitudes. Mostly, ang mga babae ay talkative, while ang mga lalaki naman ay tahimik lang. In short, gender disparity or gender gap is the difference of the way men and women are treated in society or between what men and women do and achieve. So, next topic are the manifestations of gender disparities or gaps according to education, employment, work, family, marriage, and church. First, let's talk about gender disparities in education. Gender disparities in education is a type of gender discrimination in the education system affecting both men and women during and after their educational experiences. So, for example, mas magaling ang lalaki sa math kaysa sa babae, or they are expecting more of you because you are a girl. So, the gender gap in the Philippines, basic education is quite dramatic as demonstrated in the following graph. By the way, the data are from Annual Poverty Indicator Survey 2013 and DepEd Philippines. Boys account for the majority of out-of-school children. In terms of functional literacy, 78.5% of out-of-school boys had simple literacy, compared with 83.3% of the girls. And for those who remain in school, 65.4% of girls are functionally literate, while only 58.7% of boys are. Makikita natin sa graph na ito na mas maraming out of school na lalaki compared sa babae. And pagdating sa literacy, ang rate ng girls ay mas mataas unlike sa boys. Girls have been outscoring boys in the National Achievement Test. One explanation provided for the underperformance of boys is the lack of learning materials. Even in the primary years, learning resources are limited that the students need to copy materials by handwriting. Since boys are usually delayed in developing fine motor skills compared to girls, this results in an early disadvantage. So, based on my own experience, pagdating sa pagsusulat or pagtitake down notes, hindi ganun kasipag ang mga lalaki. Kaya, pagdating ng exams or quizzes, sila yung nahuhuli. The 2020 Global Gender Gap Report of the World Economic Forum or WEF found that 71.3% of women are enrolled in secondary education and 40.4% in college, compared to only 60.2% and 40.4% respectively among men. It also observed that enrollment rates in primary education were roughly identical, with 93.7% of girls and 93.10% of boys enrolled. Based on the percentage above, halos same lang yung percentage ng boys and girls na enrolled in elementary. Pero pagdating ng high school and college, makikita na natin yung malaking gap between them. Mas maraming enrolled na girls kaysa sa boys. Marahil dahil ito sa kahirapan. Ang mga lalaki ang breadwinner ng pamilya, kaya naman yung iba napipilitan na huminto para lang makapagtrabaho. Next are the gender disparities in employment or work. More males were employed than females. So, employment rate was higher among men compared to women. In April 2020, 3 in every 5 or 61.9% of the estimated 33.8 million employed persons were males, while employed females were reported at 38.1%. This graph is from the Philippine Statistics Authority April 2020 Labor Force Survey. So, as you can see naman on the graph, the green represents male while the red is for women. So, makikita natin mas maraming ang employed na lalaki compared sa mga babae. Dahil nga tulad ng nasabi ko kanina, men are the breadwinners. Sila yung inaasahan na magtrabaho at bumuhay sa kanilang pamilya. While yung kanilang, ang babae naman ang naiwan sa bahay para mag-alaga ng family or mga anak nila. Unequal pay. On average, American women are more educated than men. For decades, women have earned more bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctorate degrees than men. Yet, women in the U.S. workforce still earn less than their male counterparts. While some statistics show that women earn 80% of what men are paid, new data published in November 2018 suggests the pay gap between men and women may even be greater. According to the Institutes for Women's Policy Research, women earn 49 cents compared to every $1 men earn. Unlike other research, the new data considers part-time workers and women who have taken time off from work to shoulder the demands of having and raising children or other family obligations. More than half of women leave the workforce for at least a year, which is twice the rate of men. Sa madaling salita, mas mataas ang kinikita ng mga lalaki unlike to women because karamihan mas mataas ang posisyon ng mga lalaki sa kanilang work. Sa ibang research naman, mas maagang umuwi ang mga kababaihan from their work because they need to take care of their children or do their other obligations for their family. So this is one of the reasons why men have higher salary than women. To help curb this discrepancy, experts new policies are needed, including more paid parental leave, support for childcare, and other pro-family policies. So next, women are promoted less often than men. Despite being more educated than men and constituting nearly half of the workforce, women are promoted at work far less often than men. We know this because women make up less than 5% of CEOs and less than 10% of women are top earners in the S&P 500. Women of color are even worse off, as they are nearly invisible on both S&P 500 boards and Fortune 500 boards. This graph is from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics 2022. You see that only 6% of S&P CEOs are women. One reason cited for why more women aren't moving into higher up executive type roles is the lack of female role models in the workplace. So according to Catalyst.org says that not having a visible role model can make women feel as if moving into a leadership style role is simply unattainable. So sabi nga dito, isa sa dahilan why only women or why only few women are promoted due to the lack of female role models. Ibig sabihin, women are lack of leadership style. Also, women are more likely to volunteer for non-promotable tasks than men, meaning they spend their time and energy getting selfless things rather than focusing on getting new positions. The next topic will be discussed by Ms. Dacapias. Ms. Dacapias, the screen is now yours.
Let's talk about the gender disparity of marriage or family. Historically, marriage was the key way families passed on status, wealth, and property from generation to generation. The institution of marriage also comes with strongly prescribed gender roles. Women's sexuality rights and access to financial resources were strictly controlled in marriages, regardless of whether a family was poor or wealthy. Women's bodies and labor were regarded as the property of their husbands. For instance, society continues to promote different roles for men and women within the family following the birth of a child. Women take on much more of the housework and childcare duties, and married women in particular do more of the housework on average than women in cohabiting relationships with men. The types of household tasks performed by women and women also difference. Men tend to do those that are more flexibly scheduled and at least somewhat discretionary, whereas women perform routine and repetitive labor that must be performed on a regular basis. In terms of childcare, fathers are more likely to spend time with children in recreational activities, while mothers allocate considerable time to basic maintenance chores. The gender-based patterns of family care are even more pronounced when it comes to elderly relatives. Nearly all the work that is done for ill or dependent elderly people in private homes is done by women. Even in households where time allocated to household tasks and family care by spouses is similar, wives perform an executive function, monitoring family needs and ensuring that they are met in a timely and effective fashion. This may mean hiring and supervising outside help, in which case wives are likely to use their own salaries to pay for the costs of the auxiliary help. As a result, women spend more of their time in various types of labor and have less time for leisure and sleep. Among married couples with infants, women work on extra day or 24 hours more per week than their husbands. In short, mas malaking porsyento o responsibilidad ng mga babae ang gawaing bahay or pangpamilya, katulad na lang ng pag-aalaga ng bata at paglilinis ng bahay araw-araw kahit man wala ang asawa sa tabi niya. Alternative explanations for the balance of marital power emphasize individual traits or abilities, such as one partner's greater size or strength, greater knowledge or expertise, control over socioeconomic resources, or superior communication skills. The balance of power swings to the stronger spouse or the one who contributes more money and status. When decisions are contested, the partner with a greater interest in or knowledge about the issue may have greater say in the final outcome, or, in some cases, the more persuasive partner may win out. These bases of marital power often favor husbands insofar as men, on average, are larger and stronger and earn higher wages than their wives. Gender differences in communication styles in which men tend to control the course of conversations by talking more, interrupting more, and vetoing topics, may also swing decision-making power to husbands. One of the most important bases of power in marriage is the patriarchal authority, legitimate authority bestowed on men to act as the head of their families and households. In decision-making in a marriage, lalaki yung maghahanap ng pera para kumita at may makain ang pamilya. And the woman do the budgeting when it comes to financial needs. Or else, it depends on their decision kung ang babae ay maghahanap ba ng trabaho or yung lalaki naman ang magbabudget ng gastusin. Both have the right to choose or have the choice either na hindi ito gusto ng isa ay mas matimbang pa rin ang nakakaalam. While men are more likely than women to be victims of reported violence in our society, they are considerably less likely to be victims of intimate partner violence. If women are violent or assaulted, their assailant is most likely a husband or boyfriend. When women are assaulted, they are more likely to be injured if they have an intimate relationship with the perpetrator. Act of the violence if it is the man hurting woman physically and also by words. Mas may malaking chance or karapatan ang babae na mag-declare ng warranty because of the abusive act of the man. The positioning of women in the church is not distinctive of apartheid. It is a universal devaluation of women. The church in South Africa positioned women in inferior ways. Man was viewed to be created in the image of God. Adam was created first and then Eve from Adam's rib. Not only was she guilty of tempting Adam, she was weaker and lesser than him and she became the cause of the fall. The church upheld these stereotypical beliefs and regulated and assigned a subordinate status to women. Men and women are still denied full participation in all roles in the church. For example, the Catholic Church does not appoint women bishops and archbishops. Sadly, women's issues such as rape, abortion, and birth control are often dealt with by males. In her presentation to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission Faith Communities hearing in 1997, Makin told the committee that all religions are patriarchal, and as the missionaries reinforced this view, women remain powerless and voiceless. She also stated that spirituality, prayers, and worship in the church promote male dominance and that the language of religion is male, that God is male, and the scripture promotes male dominance. Although women are more predominant in the church, men are the ruling sex in the church. Not only are women excluded from visibility in the liturgy and hymns of the church, but also from the Christian language where people are referred as sons of God, brothers, Lord, Master, King, and Father. The church has to be an active participant in the restoration of women's dignity through addressing the complex and core principles of masculine control, dominance, identification, centeredness that still prevail in the church and society. The church has the task of transforming the patriarchal roots in society into roots of empathy, caring, healing, and equality to protect women from all forms of discrimination. In order for women to be able to be worthy participants in all spheres of life, therefore, the church has to confront the roots of all patriarchal systems that still have an effect on women's dignity. When it comes to church, for example, women only need to do is to take care of the children, pastors, allocating budget, and so on, while the man in the church is to lead and read in front of the people inside of the church.